Good morning and welcome to the series Complete Freedom from Negativity and All Negative Feelings. We are honored by the company of Sharona Stillerman, based in Israel. And in our previous discussion, there was a beautiful image. I found it beautiful, the image of a battlefield where the truth is chasing away the force of untruth, the force of evil. And it gave a lot of hope that we have the solution to remove the force of evil. And in particular, I liked your encouragement that if a critical number of people are restoring the force of truth, if truth is ruling in their life again, then the whole humanity will benefit. And you are encouraging every one of us to give our finger of cooperation to God, to the Supreme Soul, and to help in this task of restoring truth in our lives. And today, I would like to start with a simple, practical question. As someone who is interested to make a change in their life, but the feelings that they are having now of hopelessness make those souls of students, everyone who comes in contact with us, they may drop after just a few minutes or after meeting you once. What is the entry point so that we are able to continue with our endeavor towards truth and we do not drop as soon as we hear something that maybe is new to us?
You're starting with that question, though I feel it's a very personal thing, you know. The energy we bring to a journey of transformation is very personal. And at the right time, maybe it's just because of the degree of pain we're experiencing, emotional pain, we'll have more energy to stick with it, give it a try something new. I think often as not, unfortunately, it's only when our back is up against the wall and nothing we've done up to now has really helped, that the psyche kind of is ready for one last chance. And when it's your one last chance, you just remind yourself of that. And say, for example, in terms of this course, set yourself an aim that at least you'll finish the 4 sessions. I believe it's 4 sessions. And then you'll make a judgment. Then you'll evaluate. Then you'll decide if this is useful to your journey or not. Like that.
It's an energy that opposes your very new hope. There is a hope in the soul that I can deal with sadness, with anger, with negative feelings. Can you tell us a little bit more about this sadness, which may be the force that is opposing to my transformation, that doesn't allow me to hope anymore, that I can find the light, I can find relief from sorrow?
Are you including depression in that?
Yes, sadness would become depression at some point.
For sure. I'd like to give you my definition of depression, spiritual definition of depression, or according to another question that you were sharing with me, the roots, the true deep roots of depression. It's very powerful. It goes like this. Depression is the mourning of the loss of the self. Mourning, as in what you do after someone dies. So together with this, I'd like to share a little story. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Imagine that once there was a little tree in a whole park of trees. This little tree was surrounded by very adult, mature trees, but she was very young. And she took so much joy of life in the spring when she was full of blossoms, and in the summer when she was full of flowers. She's an apple tree, okay? In the autumn when she was full of fruits. And she honestly didn't know what was happening when a good while after autumn, she didn't have any more fruits, and she didn't have any more flowers. She didn't have any more buds. And her very leaves, which she took so much pride in, so green and abundant and offering shade, if nothing else, to people, even those were turning brown, drying up and falling off. And there wasn't anything she could do about it. She tried everything. She tried to grow a bud. She tried to grow a flower. She tried to grow a fruit, and it didn't work. And worse than that, nobody seemed to pay attention to her distress. Nobody sympathized. Nobody understood the incredible pain she was feeling for seemingly her life, which had become meaningless and empty and ugly. And yet, as she looked around her, surrounding her, all these much more mature trees, they kept assuring her, they kept telling her, no, it's okay, it'll be all right, don't worry. Just go down. They kept instructing her, go down. You have to bring your energy down. It's winter. We don't survive in winter in the way we do at other times. These older trees were telling her, pull your energy down, get down into the roots. It's going to get too cold for you to survive out there. And the little tree didn't understand that language. What does that mean? Go down, go deep inside to a root. All her life, she'd just been going outwards and giving. So it confused her and depressed her. And as best she could, she tried to do this, but it was very, very hard. And it just got worse. I mean, she ultimately lost all her leaves, and it was cold out there. But then one day she woke up and she saw that there were some buds just beginning to come out again on her branches. She wasn't even sure what she was seeing. But sure enough, a little bit more time went by the buds blossomed, leaves were coming back, greenery was coming back, abundance was coming back. It felt like she was just stretching and coming back to life. And the elders encircling her, the older trees, smiled and laughed and said, "We told you so. You just need to understand the larger picture. You just need to understand the cycle of time. You just need to understand that you really are a beautiful, fully blossomed tree, which not only provides beauty and sustains people through fragrance of your flowers, the shade of your leaves, and the nutrition of your fruit, that this is what you are. No matter the winter, in which that's our only chance to go down deep into the roots and replenish and re-nourish, not give that much attention to the outside, more attention to inside, so that when spring comes, we're all ready and we blossom again. So this sadness which overtakes us, this depression which overtakes us, is just a habit of thinking in a limited way, small picture way. That's why a spiritual education is so important, because it teaches us that we really are very divine beings, children of God, fully blossomed, perfumed with all virtues, all inner strengths to manage to deal with everything, even though in spring there isn't much to deal with. That this is who I am. So depression is, once again, mourning the loss of my true self, my original self. And then training myself to go inside, go deep inside, spend time with that divine self, which is still alive and well. She's just a little bit buried by all my other kinds of images and feelings and thoughts about myself and life. To touch that, but then also to touch the seed, right? The supreme being, God, the seed. Between my true self and this supreme, beautiful being, whose sole purpose is just to make sure that I remember who I really am. There's nothing that can stop me once again coming back to happiness, to well-being, to motivation, to energy, to truth.
Very beautiful story. Thank you, Sharona. And it's a story that restores our history. We need somehow to understand the journey and why we have ended up in such a point of sadness and lack of energy. You mentioned the word energy twice. It really resonated with me to be able to trust again that I will be able to come into the light. That drop of energy, what is an emergency solution when someone is in that space of sadness, of depression? How they can get enough energy, enough trust and confidence to do something about it, to take some responsibility.
Yeah, it requires energy, doesn't it? I know that often as not, on a practical level, it's a balance of two things. Number one, let me have some kind of spiritual study, which keeps like informing me and helping me to understand a larger picture. And together with a spiritual study, spiritual experimentation. In other words, some kind of meditation practice whereby I'm going deep and I'm touching that original self, that divine being, which is inside. So to balance that with doing things, physical doing, like organizing a drawer, cleaning out the closet. If you don't have housekeeping to do, organize your files again. But this balance of doing something physical, which isn't necessarily going out for a walk, because the mind can still be going, not necessarily in a positive direction, but organizing things. Somehow organizing on a physical plane helps me organize the things going on, the energies going on inside. And, you know, it's true. I use the word energy a lot because, you know, end of the day, Johanna, what is happiness, right? We really need to understand happiness is an energy. Happiness is an energy, one of the most beautiful, one of the first aspects of spiritual knowledge that I found to be the most beautiful was learning that I am made of this very energy. This is what I'm made of. I'm made of the energy of happiness, love and peace. Nobody in the world knows what love is anymore. So much pain is connected to the concept of love. People are even afraid to say, I love you. But love is also an energy. It's this very high frequency, elevated, pure energy. And I am made of that. Meaning that if I don't experience that, it's only because I've somehow distanced myself from those energies. But they are there, they are inside. It's like, how could I say, it's like if you will, a diamond which has been dropped and it rolls down the mountain and picks up every kind of sticks and stones and mud and dirt. So by the time it reaches the bottom, nobody would even know there's a diamond in there, you know. But we are diamonds. There is divinity. And so it's about connecting to that energy. And this is spiritual energy. This is what we call spiritual power. And I can tell another story. I don't remember if I've told it before or not. You can stop me if I have. But imagine a fellow who has found an ideal job. He's job hunting, and he's found the perfect job. And he really prepares for his interview. According to the newspaper, it's exactly what he was looking for because he's skilled, he's got degrees, the pay is right, everything is perfect. So he prepares himself for the interview, he appears at the interview, and it looks like it's very successful. And at the end of the interview, they say that they will call him, but they don't call him. And later that day, they actually called to say that they really enjoyed his interview, but actually there were a few people that had interviewed on the job, and there was someone who they felt was just more suited. So depression. Anyway, this fellow is kind of inclined towards depression. And this was a big trigger. doesn't go out of his apartment for the next few days, sits around watching TV, scrolling the videos, scrolling the internet, which leads more and more to no energy even to really get up and eat. He orders out pizza, gets into bed, doesn't even bother coming out of bed, changing his clothes, cleaning up all the pizza dishes all around. Everything is just collapsing. Because this would have been the perfect job. Maybe it would have been the 4th or 5th interview, and nothing seemed to be working out for him. And it seemed also like nothing was supporting him. So massive depression. And then, like on the 5th day of this, surrounded by empty pizza cartons, wearing the same clothes and not much getting out of bed, bleary-eyed because of all the internet scrolling, he does get a call. And it's someone from that company saying that they had been reviewing the different people who had come for this job, because there's another opening at the same company, and it turns out it's for an even better position, higher pay, even more responsibility, and they would like to offer it to him. Now, what happens in 1 minute? 1 minute, all the depression is gone. For 5 days, he didn't even have the energy to get out of bed, let alone change his clothes, wash the dishes, or anything like that. And now suddenly he's whipping around the apartment, cleaning everything out, straightening everything up, showering, washing, shaving, everything, even calling friends and saying, let's celebrate, let's go out for dinner. Is it true, a scenario like this, Johanna? Am I exaggerating?
No, it happens every day.
That's right. This is spiritual energy. What got him out of bed? What suddenly got him so enthusiastic and moving around and doing all the things you do in a healthy life? This energy is available to us. It's pure positivity. It's pure, it's a very elevated energy. It carries a lot of power in it, and it all comes because of a change of thought, a change of perspective, a change of attitude. So I can spend my whole life waiting for somebody to call me, or somebody to say something, somebody to do something, to give me those thoughts so I can pull myself out. Or I can train myself. I can learn how to pull those thoughts into myself and trigger that power, that energy. Because it's sitting there. It's sitting there. It was sitting there for 5 days. But this fellow needed someone to bring him or trigger in him those thoughts.
Very beautiful story, very clear. And it's true, like the story of the little tree that was surrounded by other trees. And the company of the more experienced trees was helping. So I totally agree. We have to learn to be that experienced tree ourselves, but also the company of others helps.
That's right.
And let's not forget the company of the Supreme Soul. When nothing else is available, by building up that relationship with the Supreme, we are definitely able to overcome any obstacles. I would like to acknowledge Aldous is also with us. Is there a comment that you would like to make, Aldous, or ask a question? Please feel free to come into sound.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good to be with you both. It's a nice and rich discussion, and I was very much enjoying the stories and the metaphors that were used. In particular, the tree is very vivid. What I was just realizing was listening to you both is also in relation with depression or sadness. It's also this thing of we have lost. I think Sharona made the nice definition in the beginning about what depression was.
Mourning the loss of my original, my true self.
Yeah, mourning the loss of my true self. And I was thinking, actually, we haven't lost it. We have lost connection. Depression is a disconnection with the self. And as a result of that, the loss of aliveness, being present, being alive, experiencing life, and that occurs with depression. And I was thinking about how important it is in this time and age to create a connection again with myself. It might not happen immediately. It might not be something that occurs like from overnight, but befriending myself, getting curious about what's going on in my inner world. What am I feeling? What am I wanting? What am I needing? Just to start the ball rolling for myself, because we have been for quite a long time externally orientated. What do others want? What does the society want? How do my parents want me to be? So as a result of that, all of that piles up also on this big pile of getting disconnected from the self. So yeah, I thought I bring that in, the importance of self-connect and create a richer inner world as you wish. And at the Brahma Kumaris, we have a lot of experiments and practices that we do on a daily basis to get that connection rolling again. And I think that those things are very helpful also in beating the blues, as it were. Yeah, wanting to add that.
Thank you, Aldous. Sharona, final thoughts from you?
I liked how you mentioned the company of the Supreme. This is a very big plus. In a spiritual study, there should be a good introduction to this Supreme Being and how I can restore that connection, like Aldous was saying, connection with my divine self and that connection with my divine, supremely loving friend, mother, father, however you would like to create a relationship with that one. Because I was seeing just yesterday, I had a nice challenge thrown my way. And I saw how it triggered thoughts and how I was overcome by those kind of thoughts. The thoughts like what's happening to that diamond as it falls down the mountain, just picking up sticks and stones and mud. And I saw what was happening. I could keep myself separated from it enough to see that. So I just sat myself down in my quiet corner in the house and put myself in front of God as I understand God to be that supreme soul. And as I tried to just center myself, come into this awareness of myself as a peaceful being, a peaceful soul, different thoughts began to just come into my mind. I like to believe that they're from that supreme being who is accompanying me in my journey. They were very refreshing thoughts. They were very powerful thoughts that belong to the larger picture. And I just continued my training to think those kinds of thoughts. Think those kinds of thoughts. And I created a little mantra for myself of those higher thoughts, such as, I am a very pure soul, very peaceful soul. And I added a few more according to what just dropped into my head. And I repeated that little mantra just 3 or 4 times, and I felt completely free of the whole mess and the stuff, which, as I was saying in the beginning, actually is just a bad habit. We've got a bad habit of thinking too much and then thinking very low quality, sticks, stones, muddy stuff. So training ourselves to go for some really nutritious thoughts, those repair the connection.
Very clear. Thank you, Sharona, and thank you, Aldous. Let us have a few moments, and usually we meditate in silence. Today, would you like to give us a few examples of these elevated thoughts to enrich our perspective? Once again, thank you, everyone.
I turn my attention within. I imagine as if there's a mini me floating just in front of my forehead. And turning within means I imagine this mini me floating way to the back of my head, where she finds a beautiful corner with a deep and comfortable armchair. And I settle into that armchair, so comfortable. Here, I'm very far from the noise and distractions of life. I'm very far from the mind with the noise and distractions of thoughts. They are way up front. I am here, way in the back, separate, independent, and free. And in this freedom, I experience so much peace, centeredness, and well-being. Om Shanti.
Thank you.